So, hey everybody, I'm Charlotte. I am the corresponding secretary of the Northwestern CT Community College Student Senate. We are going to be talking about International Women's Day through a disabled person's POV, and then a little bit of music history, and potentially a Q&A depending on how much time we have left. So starting with Ruby. What do you guys think about the disabled community?
Well, just like every other minor community, I think they're underrated and they don't have the proper amount of attention that they deserve. A lot of people, and I think they're also overgeneralized. Like that's one common problem with minority groups. It's like it's like the same way you think, okay, you're dark skinned, so you're black. They don't know like there are different categories within that that group. Same thing with disability. They think it's only physical disabilities, like, oh, you lost an arm or you're using crutches or you're confined to a wheelchair. People don't know there are like mental disabilities. Like someone can look completely normal, which is still up for like discussion, because then what is really normal? Everyone has some sort of flaw in one way or another. Some other people have them more pronounced, but everyone has a flaw in one way or another. So I believe they are underrated. They don't have the amount of attention that they need, and they need to be brought to the spotlight. They need to be made aware.
I think that a lot of people, especially with disabilities, feel that there's something wrong with them and they're kind of ashamed of it. And I feel like that's because, especially going to school with a disability and being around other students who don't have a disability, they see that, and then there's like the stigma that makes you feel uncomfortable, makes you feel different. And I think growing up with that kind of tension in your heart makes you feel like you are not good enough, and you grow up letting that disability hold you back when it could actually be a blessing. You never know.
Yeah, to go off of both what Ruby and Kaylee said, I definitely believe that we all have disabilities and handicaps in our own ways or at some points in our life. So I really relate to people with disabilities. I feel that they need real representation, like real representation in real life, in movies, and like, get their story out there, because each story is unique to the individual. And just because that person has a disability doesn't disqualify them from society. And their story is also a great one.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from, Renee. I know for me, as someone with both autism and auditory processing disorder, it doesn't, um, like I kind of knew that I was different, but I was still able to make some sort of friends. But I definitely get where you guys are coming from about like some people that may have some disabilities may feel like ashamed,
Mm-hmm.
and like um and they're definitely underappreciated, kind of like what Ruby was saying. And it's just, I do wish that people could just represent like more accurately, and I hope that people that have disabilities, like the different disabilities are um represent are able to represent properly, unlike what certain celebrities nowadays have done in the um, or at least what they thought of at the time in recent years. Um, just throwing a little fun fact out there. Did you get did you know that the well-known actress Daryl Hannah was diagnosed with autism.
Actually didn't know that. She's old school.
Yeah, she was in like Splash, the Kill Bill movies, and all. Just to throw some well-known movies out there. But to our next question, starting with Kaylee. How can we improve the environment in local public school systems for the disabled community, and why?
Well, I think it all starts with creating a positive school experience. It's like if you're going to school and you hate it, you're not going to get anywhere with any student. So I think that's the most important thing. And then just like focus on the students' individual needs when it comes to learning, making sure that they understand whatever pace that they go at, whatever pace they learn. I think that's important as well. Tutoring is always helpful. So education is important for every student, and I think every student's different. So I feel like you should just focus on the individual learning, whether it be they struggle at math or English or their social skills, or just focus on that one step at a time. That's my advice.
I can go next. I think that a lot of people think that being disabled or having a disability, it doesn't necessarily translate all the time to learning disabilities, especially with autism, because a lot of autistic people are very, very smart. So if we can somehow like nurture that, maybe set aside some money for special programs that for training to teach teachers or have specialized teachers to come in, and we can actually, they can be someone too. Just because they have autism or disability doesn't mean that they can't be remembered or be someone special. Nothing is going to stop them. So I think that in school, it definitely should be addressed. Like, it shouldn't be looked at as a disability all the time. Sometimes these things aren't understood and we're behind the times. And then like years down the road, they're like, well, we didn't know. Like back then, I think we used to say that they were psychotic, and that's not true. And we used to give them like electroshock therapy and things like that. And, now we look back at those practices and we're like, how dare we, but we were so ignorant. So we are still so ignorant, and we really could use that.
That's a good point. I agree with that.
Thanks.
Yeah. I know that I know that in like all sorts of media and all that, there some people, whether it's like Shelton from the Big Bang Theory or some like anyway, some people are some people on the spectrum can be really good in like science or like math or English. If they want to pursue that, let them pursue that. Yes, Ruby.
Can't hear you, babe.
I was gonna say, sorry, my mic was off. I was gonna say, just like you mentioned, there are a lot of actors, a lot of popular celebrities that actually are on either the autism spectrum or they have some sort of disability, but it's like unknown. People find out and they're like, no way. And then in some way, it bothers me because then it shows that people have a very stereotypical type or definition of disability. Like I said, they think it's only physical. Oh, your arm is super large, or your head is oversized. To me, disability on it, I actually don't like the word disability. Like I detest it because you you make it sound disability like the like not being able to do something, but then these people are able to do a lot of things. And like a lot of people like in school, you're not, school actually is should like school should really be um sat down and talked with, because there are a lot of things that they don't talk or they teach their students that like affects them in the future. For example, like in the first episode, from previous episode, we talked about how they don't teach Black history or history of other minorities, and they also don't educate students on disability. It comes up like probably in one health class, and that's the end of it. You know, no one really goes deep into it. For me, I had to learn about disability from movies. I love like watching all sorts of movies, and I used to watch like a lot of Bollywood films. And there was this film about like a little girl that was autistic. So like the community wanted to like throw her out or kill her because they thought that she wasn't valued. She wasn't like value added to the community. But like her father fought for her and saved her countless times from like what's it called? In from harming herself or accidentally harming other people. And then along the storyline, like he found a way to calm her, like what to do and what not to do. And then he found out that like math was her thing. And then this girl grows up like 16 years later, and she's like in accounting, and they call like thousands of numbers, and everyone is like typing on the calculator, and she's like 560. Like she says the answer straight off her head. It was crazy. And I was like, why am I not autistic? I was like, I want that. I wish I could have that. And then just like you said, you mentioned Shelton, he's like super smart. We need to like make people understand that disability is not disability. It's just what's it called? It's
They don't understand it. That's what
yeah,
it is, Ruby.
yeah. They don't
Not a
understand it.
disability.
It's not a disability because it's either an addition or subtraction of something. It's either they have something extra or they have something less. It doesn't change who they are. It doesn't change like the main fact that they're still human, okay? It doesn't change that fact. It's just an addition. It's an extra chromosome or an extra cell or something or an extra arm. And good, now you have 3 arms and you can do more work, huh? I mean, I was trying because we got the brief for this topic previously, and I was trying to find a video from my medical ethics class in the first semester, or I think it was random browsing, and there was this video about like disability, and then I don't know if it was a TED talk, but it was like one of those sort of like discussions where you talk about it, and then the speaker mentioned something. She was like, "Why would you consider if like you would consider someone with 3 eyes disabled, right? You'd say like they have a disability. But then if you if you had if 3 eyes, for example, let's say you had 3 eyes, and all of them were working and you were perfectly fine and nothing like it didn't stop any other aspect of your life, and you saw people with 2 eyes, so would you call them disabled?
Yeah.
So she was like, what is the real definition of normal? What is the standard? You know? So it's something we just have to talk about. We have to figure it out.
Go ahead, Renee.
I just wanted to say that sometimes that translates to brilliance, really. Like sometimes we can't understand how smart they say people with how can I say this? The people that they say have disabilities, we don't truly understand how their mind works, and they think on different levels than us. So it doesn't necessarily mean, and I don't even want to say us because I feel like I might be disabled myself because I think on so many different levels, like I think sometimes I might be on the autism spectrum myself because of certain things, but honestly, like it really doesn't mean that you're lacking in one area. Let's take dyslexia for example. Some of those people see words backwards. like the letters and the words, they'll get mixed up or something like that. My mom has dyslexia, so I know she's going to kill me if I get this wrong. But she's so smart in other ways. In other ways, she has her master's degree in psychology. Like, she is a genius. And for her to be labeled as disabled when she was younger because of her dyslexia, I feel like it gave her a complex her whole life. And I feel like when you give people with disabilities that complex or an anxiety about who they are, that you don't allow them to truly develop, and they can be amazing human beings if given that opportunity. And I do think that training or education on disabilities is very important. Like, and if we don't have the knowledge, then let's get it. That's all.
Agree with that, how it can set somebody back. Absolutely. You get in that mindset where you feel like you can't do it because you have a disability.
And that's why I personally said I don't like the word disability.
Yeah.
Then they start to think that what they have is bad.
Yeah.
Oh, what I have is bad. It's gonna limit me. You need to make them accept it. They need to appreciate what they have, because when you do that, then them themselves, they're willing to explore what they have and see like the unique things they can do. Look at, we have disabled athletes, we have disabled actors, we have disabled. I'm sure we probably have disabled doctors. We have. It goes in every single category. You can't say I'm disabled and then you're gonna define them by only that trait. Oh, she's disabled. How is she gonna do this? And then they start to define, okay, I want to be an astronaut, but how am I gonna be an astronaut if I can't read letters well? Or how am I gonna be this if I can't do this well, like this person does? You don't do it that way. I mean, even the typical normal human being, study still shows we're just at 10% of our brain capacity. So, I mean, depending on if our ancestors had more of that capacity, or maybe our future generation is gonna have more, then they're probably going to label us as disabled too. They're gonna be like, they were so stupid, they were so dumb, they had like no, they were so shallow, because I'm pretty sure like uh, the whole of, except for sometimes I feel like people who are like not mentally disabled, like they go to the psychiatric home, I feel like they're sort of more involved. I don't like to look at them like they're crazy, like they're local. I feel like they've sort of like moved from the general level to like a different level. So they're just like not on our level anymore. They're thinking of different things and they don't know how to express that. So we see it as, oh, it was like how in the olden days, like in so many different places all around the world, like someone would come up with a new idea and everyone would label them as she's crazy or she's a witch, like the Salem witch trials and everything. Imagine like a woman being smart and saying something and they'd be like, she's a witch, how does she know that? It's the same thing we're doing. We're just using different terms and using science as an excuse. Oh, it shows that she has an extra chromosome, so she's disabled and blah 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 blah. I don't think so.
So, the last question for this, for the disabled question related questions are: if we were to have another pandemic within the next 5 to 10 years, hopefully not, but figuratively, how would we help out those who might have more of a harder time transitioning from from going to school to being either in hybrid classes or just fully online?
I mean, that's one of the things that I was mentioning. Like, yesterday I had a PTK meeting, and like after the end of the class, we had a Q&A. Kaylee was there, and what's it called? Like the host, the professors were like happy. They mentioned something that like I've been thinking about it, and then it was good to like recognize it. That even though the pandemic was horrible, I mean the deaths, the everything. The bright side is it made people think out of the box. Okay, like they were talking about how they would normally not have their meetings and everything like that. The pandemic put us in the situation of disabled people, because they said we were in the same thing. We couldn't go out, we couldn't go to family and friends, we couldn't participate in all the activities we wanted to. So I mean, I'm happy that the pandemic happened. Like, just like, you understand what I mean by I'm happy that the pandemic happened, because it taught us a lot of things and like a lot of resources we can use in the future. So now, because we've experienced how it is to be limited to like just a few resources, using that knowledge, we can, consider how would we support this. Okay, we can have like online meetings, we can come up with online events, we can organize, events that put these people in mind. Like, for example, uh I had a psychology, was it yes, it was psychology 102. And like they talked about how in older life you have to consider, when people get into late life, when they get older, you start considering like putting handrails in the bathroom, and maybe like an electronic stairs that takes them down. So we can sort of like put those ideas, like, okay, how can we come up with a fun obstacle course for people who are disabled? So you think like, okay, there can be like a wheelchair race, there can be a drawing competition, things like that. And then you have like inspirational speakers and people come together and they, you know, those are simple things. It's like thinking about, how do I make this fun for grandma? How do I make this fun for this person or that person? And we're smart. I mean, if we can put people on the moon and put people on Mars, how can we not think about like different ways to involve different communities? It just shows like how shallow, I want to say shallow and like selfish mankind can be depending on the situation. They're willing to put billions of dollars towards a course that could like end up with just one explosion, but they're not willing to, right on the goal, putting all the efforts or resources towards making people feel like people. So that's it for me.
Go ahead, Renee.
So I feel like 2020 really shook us to our roots, right? Like everybody. And it highlighted a lot of inequities in our society. And I think that it's a chance for us to grow. Like every time that something bad happens or we experience a hardship together as a country, that we can learn from that. And because the way our system is designed, those inequities that are built into the system are highlighted during those times. The last time that we had a chance to grow as a country was like, what, the moon or Vietnam or World War II, like the 30s, the 40s, the 60s, the 70s. I mean, I think it's horrible that so many people had to lose their lives, in order for this to happen. And it really does touch my heart, because I lost my own cousin to this pandemic. So I really feel what I'm saying. But honestly, we could take from this and we can help to make it more equal. I don't know. Equitable is the word I was going to say, but I don't know if that's the right word. Like, for everyone, because we function as a society and we wouldn't have made it to the moon if we didn't come together as, African Americans and whites. And we wouldn't have got past World War II. We wouldn't have won any of the things that we won, and we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't learn how to grow and come together. So I hope that we can highlight where we needed help in the disabled community, going to college, the things that were like lacking, so that if this were to happen again, we can put standards in place so that it doesn't happen like it happened this time. It's not going to be a smack in the face to everybody. Everybody will be prepared for it, because we know that it's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to affect people with disabilities more than it would affect normal people. It would affect minorities more than it affects normal people. Like, it highlights every inequity in the system in our country. And so hopefully, we can see it as students, but we have generations until we can write these laws. So until maybe we can bring it to somebody's attention, or they can see it, because I think we all see it.
I think just like a short answer to that question would be, I think for every student, not only disabled students, face-to-face interaction is important. So if schools have to be virtual, I think it's good to be able to face-to-face video chat with your professor and other students. I think that's all part of the learning process. I feel like everyone can cope with online learning if they are able to communicate face-to-face.
I know that as of today, I believe it's been a year since the college is shut down, like officially shut down, which
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about, but it happens. And what's up, Ruby? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna quickly say that apart from the students, I think you have to involve every aspect. You also have to involve the teachers because, to be honest, it's not easy on everyone. Okay, you can't just say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do it." It's not easy. Even again, sorry, I keep going back to my textbook, but my textbook just had everything about life in it. So in my textbook, they said like when in older age, when one of your spouse or your partner becomes ill or has like a health degradation, then they tend to feel like tense, stressed because they change from being partners to more like mother and father, mother and child, you know. So then they're old, they're tired, they don't want that. So it's stressful on the relationship. Same thing with I hate disabled with the disabled community and the rest of the community, okay? You have to educate both parts. You have to tell the disabled community, okay, you need to understand that you have this, okay? This is something that isn't commonly found. You're special in the sense that you have this or you have that. So you need to embrace it. I need to understand yourself. Then you need to go to the other community and say, look, they have this. They're still human. They're still people. They still have emotions, but they're going to express it in different ways. So your job now is to try to, I won't say put yourself in your shoes because you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes. Let's just be honest. You can't say, oh, I'm going to think like you don't know how their brain works. So you have to say, you have to tell the other part that they have to be um, patient and willing, you know, to actually understand them. Because a lot of the problem is just the fact that people don't even bother to learn about them. Like, for example, like I have a family friend, and he is like in fourth grade, third grade, and if you see this kid from far, you think like he's the typical kid that is like break everything, destroy all the stuff. But then, like along, if you get to know him, he's like the sweetest little kid, you know? So we have to make people stop again. Stereotypes. Stereotypes is what I hate. You just see someone and you're like, oh, she's black. She's probably gone to jail. She has like a drunk family. They're probably low income. You know, you see a disabled person. Oh, she probably doesn't have any friends and this. You have to stop the stereotyping that people are doing. You have to let them understand that you have to know a person beyond their physical aspects. You need to get to know their soul, their spirit, you know, because then the person who you're calling normal might actually even have more disabilities than the person you're calling disabled. A disabled person could be the sweetest, most smartest, know how to take the country forward kind of person. And then the normal person is like, where the world did you come from, you know? So you have to educate both parties. It's a tango. They have to dance together. They have to accept, one side has to accept who they are and the fact that, you know, they are not, they have addition or subtraction of something. And then the other part has to be educated and like, you know, maybe hold training seminars, like teachers how to like handle, especially for younger children. I think that's where the issue is. Because younger children, they're already annoying, you know, they're kids, they want to play, and then on top of the fact that they have either an autism spectrum or ADHD or something, so it's an added stress. So you have to educate teachers on, okay, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, because like the kid that I'm talking about, he left the school where they were restraining him, like he would, you know, start getting fizzy and disturbing the class, and then they would call teachers or staff members to restrain the child. Can you imagine restraining like a 7-year-old in front of his, so he started feeling like so like the stigma, like Kaylee said, he started feeling the stigma of I'm different. Oh, they don't like me. Oh, I'm weird, you know? But then he went to a different school. Now he's in a different school. And actually, he's in school that is like for everyone, every single student in the school has some sort of disability. So it's like it's a special school. But then I've been at their place when he's having virtual classes. I see how the teacher communicates with him, even though he's still like drumming on the tables and being everywhere. The teacher is still like, hey, come back here, come back here. So you have to get that. You have to get that balance. Same thing in every other area. You have to let people know, both sides of the story.
Very true.
That's true, Ruby. But if you think about it, some people on the spectrum may need to be like in a quieter room, if you think about it, and just calm down and breathe and just be like, and to help them like realize, oh yeah, maybe this wasn't a good, me reacting in this situation may have not been a good idea.
Mhm.
Like or any other, or on other, or it may be an autism thing, it may be an ADHD thing, it may be a PTSD thing.
Yeah,
It all depends on the person.
yeah,
But
it's true.
yeah,
But then that's why again you need that education. You need to let them know that these are the tools you can use to calm yourself down. And then you need to let the other party know too that these are the things you should do to calm them down. So they're not doing stuff like restraining them or shouting on them or like making them feel don't make them feel bad. You have to make them understand. It's like someone has PTSD and then you're like, why are you having nightmares? And you're like screaming at the person. It's not gonna work. Like,
No.
like they're dead. It's okay. They're dead. They're not gonna hunt you. Like it doesn't work that way. You have to have a different approach because it's a different situation you're dealing with.
Understanding.
I'm gonna let Renee say her thing, and then we're gonna go to our next topic.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think that when you educate the instructors, that creates the patience. Because I have 3 kids myself, right? They're all teenagers now, so I made it through the horrible young years 3 times. And you really have to learn patience. Patience is everything, and understanding creates patience. So if you can understand that this person learns this way, or that maybe, let's say, restraining that person when they're freaking out about something because they can't control their own emotions, that you're not helping the situation. So being trained how to help in that situation is super important, because that's where you find the patience. If you don't understand something, you're going to be so like, have you ever tried to teach somebody something and they just don't get it, and you just get so impatient with them? You're like, I don't know how else to tell you this. Like, I drew a picture, I wrote a story. I don't know what else to do. So I just think, just that's where the education and the training comes in. And it should, maybe there should even be a class in like schools, like elementary school or high school, that teach you shouldn't have to get to college to learn how to deal with people who function in society. Like, we should learn early how many different types of people there are in society, and then we'll have more patience and we won't be so ignorant towards everything.
Okay, cool. Now it's time to go to our next topic, and it's probably how we're gonna finish today's podcast episode. But who knows? But before we go into our music history, did you know that 3-time Grammy Award winner Dame Evelyn Glennie has profound deafness?
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I didn't either. 2 facts that I didn't know.
Now you know.
Cool. And this is something that Kaylee. The first question is something that Kaylee knows, and she commented on it. And Kaylee, I appreciate this. But like, but who are your favorite artists to listen to when you're having the worst day?
I like to listen to meditation music, so that's really what calms me. Puts me in like a good place.
I can say, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ruby.
I just had a comment for Kate and Kaylee. You can go next.
So I was just gonna say it depends what kind of mood, like what kind of bad day is this? If it's a sad bad day, then I'm probably listening to slow music and crying and singing the song. And then if it's like an angry bad day or like a discouraging bad day, I like deep house music. A lot of it doesn't have words. It's just like a ride for your emotions, and it helps to like stimulate thoughts outside of your head, because sometimes you get caught up in the cycle of your own head. So I would say one or the other for me.
Like Renee said, it depends on the sad day, it depends on the bad day. I mean, if it's probably like someone just pissed me off, I'll probably be listening to like Taylor Swift or something like, something that is like, and then I'm like glaring at the person like, yeah, this is for you. I mean, I also like relate to the meditation sometimes. Meditation videos. I actually do yoga occasionally, so that helps. Uh, and then I just have like, it depends too, because like my mood just changes and everything. So I have like some specific songs that I listen to that just make me happy. Like there's no way I can listen to the song and be sad. And then it still also depends on if I want to come out of that mood. Like if I feel like, I just want to stay like cloudy today, and then I have like my sad playlist, and I'm playing like Lady in Red and like See You Again and like all those sad songs. I'm like, yeah, this is the mood. But if not, then I'm playing something else like Cherry and Poppy, or I'd probably go do something else.
Music really does help, though.
Yeah.
I know for me it also depends on the mood I'm in. And but yet again, I also listen to music whenever I'm sleeping overnight, so that because I figure if I listen to music overnight, it may be a little bit easier for me to like just process everything while I'm talking to myself till midnight, 1 in the morning.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, I used to do that too.
Yeah, I know when I was younger, I used to do it like till like 2 a.m. But yeah, funny how the times have changed over the 23 years of my life. Anyway, go ahead, Renee.
No, I was just gonna say, so there was this radio station that I used to listen to AM when I was a teenager, right? And they used to play, it was different DJs that would have like maybe one night it would be the Chinese guitar that they play. I don't know the name of it, but it was like a beautiful sound that I never heard before. And then the next night it was like space sounds and just different kind of sounds. So I guess that could be meditating stuff, but it was very cool. And I never found anything like that ever since.
That's pretty cool.
The next question is, what's the most nostalgic moment in music history? Like for you personally?
When the beat drops. I don't know.
Yes, Kaylee.
I'm not sure.
I was just gonna say Michael Jackson because like I'm an 80s baby. So Michael Jackson was so huge when I was growing up. Like I danced like him. I sang all his songs. I still play them in my car and my kids love him. Like when he passed away, my daughter was a year old and they started like playing all his music all over again. Like if he just released all the tracks because he passed away, and she went crazy for him and she's super in love with him too. Like, so Michael Jackson was like a huge impact on us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Renee, I can relate with that. And I mean, can I just mention, like, I think it's really funny and weird So like an artist seems to get like more views when they die. Like suddenly everyone like wants to listen. I mean, I don't know if it's weird for me because I'm like, why
That's
didn't
the
you
same
appreciate
with
them?
artists. Sorry to interrupt, but that's the same with paintings too. Artists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's dead. Oh, let me go look now. Yeah. And send the like to the invincible soul I mean, come on. I mean, Kaylee, you said like I was kind of battling with the question. I didn't know if you meant like a song or like a part of the song. So you said when the beat drops, that's true. That's true for me. And also like when there's like the song goes on and then there's suddenly like the solo with the instrument like then everyone starts singing again. That's really nostalgic for me because during that part I'm like going crazy and like
Same.
jumping on the bed and everything. And then like when it goes on like in the full rock star mode. Another thing too is like when they hold like really high notes, like they go like Whitney Houston and she's like, and holds it like I'm like yeah, I'm like running out of breath. I'm like and then all the way through. That's also really nostalgic for me. And then some songs, it doesn't even have to be the time. It's just what happened while I was listening to that song. Like a lot of songs that I sing with my mom, like when something funny happens, they stick with me. Like The Weekend, I Feel It Coming. She heard them, she's like, oh my God, I wish this song existed while I was like, a teenager. And then it became like so nostalgic to me. So every time I hear it, boom, she's like right in my head. And so it depends on the song. It depends on what was happening in that moment. And then there obviously the iconic like we will rock you and all that. Okay.
The Weeknd does like 80s music too, so he's good at throwing you back like that.
Yeah, I know for me anyway, it's like Robert Palmer, The Eagles, Journey.
Love Journey.
Love Motley Crue. You guys like them? No.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. They have a documentary on Netflix. It's really, really interesting. Tells their story.
I feel like I know so much music, I would know who they are, but I probably wouldn't recognize them by name, but by song.
Yeah, exactly. You probably would.
Yeah, also like songs that have like this retro vibe to it. Like just like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, like Bruno Mars released this new song and like it's already nostalgic to me.
Really?
So it just gives me those vibes. Like if it has like a certain vibe, if the song has like this sort of I don't know, I wasn't even born during the discos, but like disco songs give me like nostalgic vibes. I suddenly start thinking about like being 5 and being 10 and all those years. Yeah.
Yeah, remember that song Pharrell came out with, Happy? That song, like you
Oh
could
my,
not be mad and listen to that song.
yeah.
I remember
It was
that.
everywhere. That song like was like every single place you walk into. Like you just walk in like, cause I'm happy. I'm like, oh my God. Every movie, every advert, like it was everywhere. It just has that like vibe. There's songs like that have that vibe. Trying to think of any other song that has that vibe too. I mean, has anyone heard 24K Magic by Bruno Mars?
Yep.
Yeah,
I have.
24 Magic, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that one's nostalgic for me too. Like I can't hear that song and not dance. It's impossible.
Yeah, Bruno Mars is good the way he ties Motown music into the new music, new era.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, sorry that I abruptly disappeared just now. Yeah, the last question that we're probably going to get to today, going on the music history theme. But but whenever you guys are in the mood of listening to music, which probably is on a daily basis, like if I'm not wrong.
My head has a playlist of probably 1,000 songs. It just keeps on going. On and on.
But when you guys do listen to music, it doesn't matter if you guys listen to the older or the newer music.
The newer music is a little hard for me to listen to because I feel like a lot of it is negative. Not all of it, but I mean, there's like the I Hope She Cheats song comes on a lot on the radio. So I don't really like listening to that. I like to listen to older music.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lot of feeling in older music that you don't find in newer music because a lot of the instruments are synthesized and the voices are, what is that called when they stick the tube in their mouth? Auto-tune, yes, yep.
I'm not sure there's a two in their mouths. Renee.
The first time I saw T-Pain come out with the tube in his mouth, I was like, what is that? And then I realized that's how he got famous. So
yeah, I back when the Masked Singer was at the back when the Masked Singer very first season premiered, nobody knew. Speaking of T-Pain, I shouldn't say nobody knew because I have family who watched it and not everyone knew who he was.
Yeah.
So it's just like who's that? Like, could it be like Danny was from New Kids on the Block, or could it be like Danny McCarthy's husband from that same band? And it's just like who are these people?
So I think last week on The Masked Singer, the new episode, it was Kermit. Like the first one that got ticked off was the snail, and the snail was Kermit.
No. I love the Max Singer and I want to watch it, Renee. I'm gonna call you out in the next podcast I host. Like the first meeting I'm gonna talk about is spoilers. Like people who just like Spider-Man died. Like why? Why would you do that? It's good.
Better post the warning first.
Exactly. Warning: the following program contains spoilers. Okay.
So
For me, it doesn't matter what song is. Again, it depends on the mood. Like I could just be randomly washing the dishes and I'm like, Lady in Red. And then another day I'm like, I got a Honda women. You know?
I get it. I know for me it could be one minute it could be like Robert Palmer, the next minute it could be like Imagine Dragons.
Yeah.
One moment it could be like Shania Twain, or it could be like
She said no.
who doesn't like Shania Twain?
I didn't say no. I was like I was moving my head like to agree, but I can't like it.
You're like this, and then Shania Twain. Sorry about that, Charlotte. But yeah, I like.
It's all good, but
Yeah.
go ahead, Renee.
No, I was just gonna say I don't discriminate on new music either, though. Like I'm constantly going through YouTube because that's how I watch my music. So I have all control and I don't have to pay for it. Then I put it out in my car and I let my YouTube play. So I'm always looking for new. I like different music around the world. Like I like European music, house music, that kind of brings you to like Amsterdam and stuff like that. So I am always looking for new artists to listen to because I feel like, they could bring something fresh to the music industry that hasn't been explored yet.
I have a question.
Fresh.
Does anyone here play an instrument?
Oh. Is the fake drums that I made out of like cereal and pasta considered an instrument?
Could be. It's practice.
All right, I'm a good drummer then.
I have a drum set.
You do? It's crazy. Like I started on almost every instrument and then I never finished. I started guitar, but it was like club. It wasn't like lessons. So then I had other stuff I had to do. I was in a club. I was a music club. At first, like in like elementary school, or I don't know how it correlates, but like while I was in like younger years, I wanted to be in the music club where they were gonna teach like piano. Like we had to pay, so I'm like, I'm not paying for that. Yeah. And then like when I had a club that was actually gonna teach us, the teacher wasn't always constant, or something always came up, or we didn't even have electricity to plug in our instruments. So it was crazy. This is like back home in Africa, by the way, because you're like, which school doesn't have electricity? 'Cause you're like, why didn't you sue them?
Where are you going to school?
Yeah, it was online. So yeah, I started everything, and I'm pretty sure like once I have the time, I'm just gonna teach myself like what is YouTube for. I'm just gonna teach myself how to.
You could look up a video on YouTube to teach you how to use YouTube.
Exactly. YouTube is crazy.
I learned so much from YouTube, for real. Like fixing my cars. Like you wouldn't even believe the kind of information that you can just like speak into the mic and it pulls it up. I'm like,
That's crazy.
Sure.
The world we live in.
I have a question though. If you guys could, okay, you could either be, you have to pick one choice. You either have the ability to master any instrument, like one instrument of your choice, you'd be a master at it, like Beethoven plus Chopin plus everybody combined, or you have the most spectacular voice, but you're horrible with instruments. Like you can't even press a C note on the piano without it sounding wrong. So which would you rather have, like the super instrument powers or super voice powers?
Instrument.
yeah, I'm going with instrument too because you can feel that
Yeah.
when you're playing the instrument. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You feel connected to like the
Yeah.
universe.
Marlon, why your face like you're all like puffy on your face? What are you about to say? I feel like you're about to.
I don't think I like I it would have to depend on my mood.
What your move?
Cause because sometimes I may want to play one instrument, but I may want to play another instrument.
I know, but I'm saying like you had to pick, like they gave you like a superpower, and they say like you can be the master of piano, you can play any song, like any like note, you can compose your own songs on the piano, like an instrument, the piano, guitar, recorder, flute, like Andrew is showing us in the background, uh, like the triangle, for example, like any instrument, one instrument of your choice, you'd be like the best player of that instrument, or you be the best singer in the world. Like your voice is like extraordinary.
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, like that's the point. I because there's so many, and I may want to try doing multiple.
Oh,
That's like that's why I
yeah,
said it may depend on my mood.
yeah. But sorry, you don't have that option.
I know I
think
don't have,
yeah.
but
For me, I would
yeah.
probably go with the singing, like because I feel like you can do a lot of things with your voice. Like I listen to a cappella songs and I'm like moved. Another thing that's nostalgic for me is when like all the like instruments of a song just fades away and it's only the voice. Like they have like that solo moment. So I would probably pick voice. And then you can do a lot of things with the voice. Like a lot of people do their own like sound effects with their like do the drumming and the and beatboxing. So depending on how I translate that, I could like have my instruments without even having an instrument. I'll be a one person band. So
I feel like I sing at the top of my lungs, whether I can sing or not, and that's not gonna change. And I don't know how to play an instrument, so I'll take that. I'm singing no matter what.
Yeah, that was pretty much today's episode. So thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys next week.
Bye.
Great job, ladies.